Joining us right now, JMP Securities President Mark Lehmann is with us. Mark, good to see you.
Great to see you, Maria.
What does Microsoft hitting an all-time high tell us about what's going on in the markets today?
Well, it tells
or
you
is it just a Microsoft story?
I mean, it's partially a Microsoft story. They've done a great job. Their new management has done a wonderful job moving them towards the cloud. And like you said, they have eclipsed their high of 99, which a lot of people said they would never do, given kind of the historic need to be around the PC and not in the cloud. They've done a great job migrating towards that cloud. And as that has gained share, and we've seen it in Amazon and others, those stocks have taken off, and I think they will continue to.
But earnings largely pretty good, right?
Yeah, really good.
Technology, financial services, better than expected. I don't know if pretty good is the word, because the banks were lower than last year, but they are better than expected.
Right. Better than expected, and I think this is a have and have not market, and I think you're going to continue to see that. You'll see names like Facebook and Amazon as the quarter progresses, and I think you're going to see a continued trend towards those haves continue to execute and be the leaders of the market.
In terms of the cloud computing business, I'm just curious about, they sell computing power and data storage, but Amazon's got almost about a third of that business. Does Amazon need to be worried about Microsoft? Is that something we need to now pay attention to in terms of Microsoft continuing to gain on Amazon?
It's a good question. I mean, I think Amazon obviously is the 800-pound gorilla in the space, and they are worried. Jeff Bezos is worried about everything. I think there's room for several players here. This industry is not in its 8th or 9th inning. It's in its infancy. And for those investors and those paying attention to the markets, I think will note that this is not a story that has been played out. And I think there's lots of room. I think Amazon will pay attention. I think pricing is something that they're very flexible with, given their size. It's something we should all be paying attention to, because as pricing goes, profitability goes. But I think there's lots of room for success here, and I think those who are not migrating towards the cloud better pay attention.
$22.3 billion revenue for Microsoft, obviously better than expected. Your firm does a lot in healthcare, biotech, technology. Tell us about deal flow. Is it coming back?
It is trickling back. We saw a little bit after Labor Day. We saw some biotech activity, which had been muted for the last year, start to happen. I think with the election coming up, there's some fear that we're going to have some more regulation and some more government oversight. Not sure that's not overblown, given the fact the market, again, in biotech has come down a little bit. There's a nice secondary for a company called Twilio, which did an IPO this year. Stock was one of probably the best performing IPO of the year.
That was a hot deal.
That was a hot deal, and they did a $300 million secondary that, fortunately, JMP was a part of last night. There's more activity. You've heard the Snapchat rumors. I think you're going to see more of those big companies in 2017. It's going to be better in 17 than 16. You
wonder, after this election gets passed, if all of this business that's on the shelf comes off of the shelf, and we see a little bit more of an unleashing of deals and even acquisitions.
I think people there's a couple of camps here. One is, yes, we need to get the election behind us. Two, I think some people, particularly in biotech, don't like the stock prices. The stocks have come off their highs, but these people are innovating, and they're still hitting their targets, and they're going to need to raise capital. I think there's going to be a much bigger capital markets for healthcare in 2017 and 16.
Kind of tough to not do M&A one year in such a low to no growth environment. That's kind of the only way you can get it.
You acquire growth, yeah.
Yeah. And the M&A, we'll have a record year at JMP and M&A. I think you're going to see big M&A continue. People who don't want to go alone. I think there's lots of cash on balance sheets, and at zero, this environment we've had at zero rates for so long, they're going to put more capital to work. M&A is going to continue.
And speaking of that, in terms of Microsoft stock hitting an all-time high, how much of that's being driven by the dividend?
I think, listen, that's a great question. I was with a group of executives about a month ago, investors, and they were searching for dividends, and we were talking about some of the old, I hate this term, the old economy. They were talking about the Microsofts and Oracles and IBMs of the world. And, you look at a company like Microsoft that pays the kind of healthy dividend but has that growth that we just discussed. That's going to be a real target for a lot of those dividend growth funds that have to pay a yield and see this company that's got growth. You can't say that about the others. You can't say that about Oracle. You can't say that about IBM.
Does it matter who wins the election for markets?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. I think the market probably with Hillary knows what it's going to get.
Right.
I think you know a little bit more worry on the healthcare side. You probably have a little bit more regulation for the financial stocks.
But with Trump, you got a 15% corporate tax rate.
You do, and I think the question there will be,
if Congress passes.
Correct, if Congress passes it. But the question will be, if Trump does win, what happens with how we look in the trade and how we look internationally, and what happens as the overall unknown, because that is a bigger unknown. Hillary, I think, is just more of a known.
Sure.
Well, is she a Bill Clinton Democrat or an Obama Democrat? Because she's run like an Obama Democrat.
You kinda don't know.
That's a heck of a lot further left than people imagine.
I think you're gonna have
you don't know.
You really don't know, but you have a lot of people whispering her in her ear, a couple former presidents, if she does win, and I think it'll be very interesting. And I think we don't know today. I really think we do not know today.
We got the Wall Street speeches Hillary, then we got the running against Bernie Sanders Hillary, and they're very different people.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing we have with both is infrastructure spending.
Yeah.
That's
true.
one place to look.
And Dagan doesn't think that's necessarily a good idea.
Which makes me insane.
Yeah.
But
I can see that.
I'm with you.
It just does, because I just don't think it's some magic elixir for the economy. And we've got $300 billion coming down the pike from a law that was signed at the end of last year.
You don't think more debt is a good idea?
I just think that we need a lot more other than just spending on roads.
Mark, good to see you.
Maria,
thank you so much for
Thanks
joining
all.
us today. Mark Lehmann there. Still to come.